Obedience is important. Knowing the truth is important. But if there's one thing that I'd like you to draw from this, is that there is an aspect of what God wants from you and me that is very deeply personal. And so I put it in terms that I thought I was pretty pleased at this play on words. Anyway, here it is. Lesson number 3. God wants our presence, not our gifts. Sorry about that. I just had to throw that in there. Okay, I want to read to you this passage from Luke chapter 10, beginning in verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, they came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." I think quite easily it happens that we get ourselves involved in the religious stuff. And we say, I've got gifts that I need to give God. I've got things I need to do for God. I've got lessons I need to learn from God. And I've got this long list of stuff that I just have to accomplish so that then I have something to offer God. And yet there in that little moment with Mary and Martha, Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet. Martha is running around crazy. And Jesus says, one of you has got it better. The one who's just willing to sit and be in my presence. I can't say anything about it or even illustrate it better than a fellow by the name of Max Lucado has. And I'm going to read a story that he wrote. There are going to be some illustrations up on the screen, so you don't have to worry too much about falling asleep as I read this perhaps bedtime story. But I want to ask you to engage in the story of 5 young orphans. The story is called Into His Presence. A long time ago, in a land much like your own, there was a village. And in this village lived 5 orphans, a lonely family of fatherless children. They had banded together against the cold. One day, a king learned of their misfortune and decided to adopt them. He decreed that he would be their father and planned to come for them. All the people in the land thought it odd that the king should adopt these children. He already had many people to care for. Why does the king want them? The people would ask. But the king had his reasons. When the children learned that they had a new father, and their father was the king no less, and the king was coming to visit, they went wild with excitement. When the people of the village learned that the children had a father, and their father was the king, and that the king was coming to their village, they were terribly excited as well. They went out to see the children and told them what to do. "You need to impress the king," they explained. "Only those with great gifts to give will be allowed to live in the castle." The people didn't know the king. They just assumed that all kings want to be impressed. So the children worked long and hard preparing their offerings. One boy who knew how to carve determined to give the king a wonderful work of wood and art. He set his knife against the soft skin of the elm and whittled. The small blocks of wood came alive with the eyes of a sparrow or the nose of a unicorn. His sister decided to present the king with a painting that captured the beauty of the heavens, a painting worthy to hang in his castle. Another sister chose music as her way to impress the king. For long hours she practiced with her voice and mandolin. Village people would stop at her window and listen as her music took wings and soared. Yet another child set out to turn the king's head with his wisdom. Late hours would find his candle lit and his books open. Geography, mathematics, chemistry. The breadth of his study was matched only by the depth of his desire. Surely a sage such as the king would appreciate all of this hard work. But there was one little girl who had nothing to offer. Her hand was clumsy with the knife, her fingers stiff with the brush. She opened her mouth to sing, but the sound was hoarse. She was too dull to read. She had no talent. She had no gift. All she had to offer was her heart, for her heart was good. She spent her time at the city gates watching the people come and go. She would make pennies by grooming their horses and feeding their animals. A stable girl she was, a stable girl with no stable, but she had a good heart. She knew the beggars by name. She took time to pet each dog. She welcomed home the travelers and greeted the strangers. "How was the journey?" she would ask. "Tell me what you learned on your visit. How's your husband? Did you enjoy your new work?" She was full of questions for people because her heart was big and she cared about people. But since she had no talent and no gift, she grew anxious that the king would be angry. The villagers told her that the king would want a gift and that she should set her mind about the task of making one. So she took a small knife and went to her brother, the carver. "Could you teach me to carve?" she asked. "Sorry," the young crafter responded without looking up. "I've much work to do. I haven't time for you. The king is coming, you know." The girl put away her knife and picked up a brush. She went to her sister, the artist. She found her on a hill painting a sunset on a canvas. "You paint so well," said the girl who had no gift but a big heart. "I know," the painter answered. "Could you share with me your gift?" "Not now," the sister responded with eyes on her palette. "The king is coming, you know." The girl with no gift then remembered her other sister, the one with the song. "She will help me," she said. But when she arrived at her sister's house, she found a crowd of people waiting to listen to her sister sing. "Sister," she called. "Sister, I've come to listen and learn." But her sister couldn't hear. The noise of the applause was too loud. Heart heavy, the girl turned and walked away. Then she remembered her other brother. She took a book with small words and big letters and went to see him. "I have nothing to offer the king," she said. "Could you teach me to read so I might show him my wisdom?" The young sage-to-be didn't speak. He was lost in thought. The child with no gift spoke again. "Could you help me? I have no talent." "Go away," the scholar said, scarcely moving his eyes from the text. "Can't you see I'm preparing myself for the coming of the king?" And so the girl went away sorrowfully. She had nothing to give. She returned to her place at the city gates and took up her task of caring for people's animals. After some days, a man in merchant's dress